Hi, everyone. I'm Noriko,
Hey everyone, I'm Thorsten.
and welcome to our LinkedIn Live, which isn't live but recorded on GenAI and the future agency model. Welcome, and we hope that you'll enjoy the next 30 to 40 minutes as we talk about what the agency model of the future might be like. Okay. So, for the agency model, we actually didn't look 2 years into the future, 3 years into the future, but we went 25 years into the future, way, way into the future. And why did we do this? Well, we did it because, whenever we think about changing the paradigm or shifting the way we do things and we focus on a short time period, we get really stuck in our current status quo and the paradigms and certain realities that we live with. And so if you try and look 3 years into the future, you might just be dragged back to the present because you sort of expect everything as it is. And it's really hard to sort of shift your mind and think about an alternative um, universe or even an alternative way of doing things. So we decided not to go into 3 years or 5 years into the future, but 25 years into the future, so that we could really think about the future paradigms for advertising without today's boundaries. We wanted to really break down the boundaries and explore what could really happen based on some of the technologies, emerging technologies that are starting to come out now, which is really exciting. And what we did was we tried to pull through what those technologies could be like and what our realities could be like and our lives living with those technologies. Okay. I'm trying hard to have us in the picture and also not to dis distract us from some of the copy here. Okay, but today's session is going to be pretty conversational. So just view our slides as really background and backdrop just to provide guidance to this conversation. Okay. So with that, we created an AI video on the future, 25 years into the future. So I'm going to hide us and enjoy.
It's Saturday, August 27th, 2050. It's 9 a.m. in the morning. The alarm triggers wakefulness in your sleep pod. You roll over, turning to the bedside switch and press the blue circular button. The beeping sound stops. You contemplate sleeping longer. But no, there's so much to do on this Saturday. You press another round button next to the alarm, and the concave glass shield that surrounds your bed slides open to let you out of your cocoon-shaped sleeping pod. The weekend! You yawn and stretch out your arms and in turn try to step out, but you get a hard pull to the top of your left arm, where you're still plugged in your bed. You pull the cord out of your arm. It's a plug that you use only once a week, so you're not used to it being in your arm. You use this plug only when you want to volunteer your sleep to the Imagination Company. You were chosen by them to share your dreams because you've been tagged as an hip, highly imaginative person with great conceptual ideas. You're never quite sure what you shared with the company, but apparently, the ideas are used to create imagination campaigns that you see on the walls of your house, the buildings outside, all over. Imagination campaigns, not advertising. Because advertising as it currently exists doesn't exist in 2050. These imaginations are there wherever you go, as images on screens, or visograms, as they are known in 2050. They change to your needs as you walk past a screen. Even the human and droid models change to your ethnicity, height, and size. A beep. The digital wallet on your wrist shows an increase of 15,000 credits. Great! More credits to use towards food, drinks, transportation. Not bad for a night's sleep. Oh, don't forget to look at what happened overnight. Better check what the nanobot found. Click on the digital wallet to look at your health signals. Excellent. No cancerous cells found, and your vitals are good. You stretch out of your pod and it retracts into the wall. Your room is small and square, but all you need to do is to press a button and it takes you into another room, the bathroom, a walk-in closet. Everything opens, then retracts. You're in no hurry to venture outside. It is Saturday after all. Again, you press a button and the dining room opens up with a table and 4 chairs. You slip into a comfortable chair. Your assistant bot comes out from another door. She is anime-looking with huge eyes and an equally big smile. Good morning. Are you ready for your usual breakfast? She asks the same question every day. Of course, does she really need to ask since the microchip in your brain is connected to the one in hers, and she can read your mind anyway. Annie, you know what I want. You instantly send the message through your mind without one word uttered. You look at the wall of screens in the dining room. There are short 60-second captivator reels rotating across multiple screens. Sure, it's a Saturday. Programming is so predictable. What to do on a Saturday? Bowling with friends? Go jogging with my swoosh instructor? No thanks. The last time you did that, this Nike lady turned out to be a hologram that forced you to run at a pace of 8 miles per hour for 30 minutes. Come and spend a 2-hour branded experience with me, beams the Under Armour brand ambassador. I'm a level 1, but I know a lot about Under Armour, she says. She's on level 1, you're on 5. What does she know about Under Armour? You say, I've had more immersive experiences. Boring. You hit the off button. The neuro-linked imaginations that came straight into your brain were more effective, more customized, less junk. Yes, even 2050 still has junk, and you let the imaginations play in your head as you sit at the dining room table. Gee, if only Annie was a sentient robot, but that would have to be a huge upgrade. Sentients were expensive companions, built to look and act just like a human being, like you. If you walked down the street, some robots obviously looked like robots, but these sentients, you'd never be able to tell the difference. What's more, they could go out and capture brand experiences for you, like a digital twin. If only I had one, you think Annie interrupts your thought. She is sending you a message. The bagels from your favorite store are sold out. Would you like to get it from the new store that just opened up? Thoughts transport back and forth between you and Annie. I don't know what they're like. Can I have a taste test? Can you plug in? Sure. A bio-integrated ingestible sensor is sent to you. You can instantly taste this new homemade bagel, even with locks. That's the best tasting bagel. Yes, Annie, please. Please retrieve it. And your robot rushes off to the store to purchase a takeout for you. Think of it as brain food. You go back to the refreshed wall. Your friend is buzzing you on the wall. What is it? There is a new product showcase at the VM, the virtual mall. Care to join? Sounds better for your Saturday in August in 2050 than those invites from Nike or Under Armour. And you never know. You might find an interesting new brand experience at the VM, so naturally you agree to go with your friend and do some shopping. What could be better?
That was amazing. That was amazing.
Well, which part of the 2050 world did you like the most?
I mean, it's all cool, right? So, I mean, from a tech perspective, it's a little bit spooky, right? So, what's going to happen? We've seen about 6 or more business model ideas in that video. The one that I'm scared about is actually the brain connected ads, right? So,
The neuro-linked imagination?
that's correct.
It
That's
could
the one.
happen. It could happen.
I guess it will happen, right?
Mhm.
So we do have the technology. I mean, today already.
Mhm.
I mean, they're not connected, but I mean, there are already research studies how you connect basically your brain actually to the cloud and have an exchange, a data exchange. So you upload your thoughts and your emotions, right?
Mm.
And get an instant feedback. I feel like this is something that will really happen after 2029, 2030, right? So the singularity is just around the corner. But once we connect to the cloud, I guess we will see way more applications like this. I mean, this is a very commercial application.
Mm.
There's going to be probably a lot of useful applications.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it almost seems like the Matrix world, right? Plugging yourself into the
Uh,
cloud. We'll
yeah.
all have little things in the back of our necks, and it'll become, really natural, normal to have them. I mean, the thing
I
that
guess
I
the
liked,
challenge.
hmm?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the one that I really liked was the nanobot. Imagine a nanobot, really little minuscule bot in your body, just scouring to make sure that you don't have any sickness, anything coming up, any cancerous cells. It's a totally new way of taking care of yourself. At the moment,
Yeah,
we're
it's
so reactive, and this will be a very proactive way of dealing with your body and health, which is completely different.
It's
Yeah.
completely different. I mean, we do have these nanobots already in research. I
Yeah.
remember conversations at Singularity at some point, right? You just ingest it actually, I mean, in your body, or you get a shot, right? And they get the job done, right? As you said, no more doctor visits, right? There's some magic happening inside of your blood cells, right? And while you sleep overnight, you get cured of any diseases you may have, right?
Imagine.
And it's an amazing future. But again, I mean, just 5 years ago, nobody would have imagined anything like this.
Sure, absolutely.
It's Saturday,
Oh,
August 27th, 20.
trying to get to some of the slides now. Oh, here we are.
I
Okay,
mean, that
so what, we came up with this video of the future. But I suppose our relationship with technology transformed on November 30th, 2022. And I suppose there's no guessing what this was.
first that of ChatGPT, right?
Mhm. I mean, ChatGPT coming onto the scene was very transformative, disruptive technology, but it's one of the sort of anchors of what we see as the future of our world, and how we interact with technology in general. Um, and when we're thinking about, advertising and the advertising model, and we'll get to the answer of what the advertising model could look like in the future. Um, the way that we see it is that nothing resembles what it looks like today. And as you saw with Visigrams and Imagination Company and this neuro-linked imagination, as you see, it's not anything that we see right now. And then the advertising on the walls that we showed you, is omnipresent. It's, well, not just on your walls of your house, but wherever you go on the streets as well. But we don't really see it as, the current form of advertising, because we think that this current form of advertising, where advertising firms exist in a silo away from these platforms, is over. We just don't see it happening. That we see more of an internal service associated with these platforms, and we'll talk about all of that a little bit later on.
It's the iPhone moment, right? It's
Yeah,
very similar to 2007 when Steve Jobs, I mean, launched the iPhone.
yeah.
Nobody would have imagined, I mean, how many business models would change, how many new business models would actually evolve out of just the iPhone.
Mm,
When you read, I mean, just go back like 2 years, what happened is there are so many opportunities now coming up just because of ChatGPT, right? And all the other language learning models in the market. And I feel like we haven't seen actually, I mean, the surface yet. We're just scratching the surface, what will happen in the next 20, 30, 40 years
yeah,
and how will it impact our society.
yeah, absolutely. Um,
And again, as the slide says, Gen AI and technology will actually connect. I mean, the new world, they are the connectors, right? To between technology and humans, between
mm.
us and the technology. So this is our way to interact and talk to technology.
Hmm. I suppose we can't undermine or underestimate just what leap happened as a result of ChatGPT's introduction. And although it's getting bashed a little bit, LLMs are getting a little bit bashed at the moment, but we sort of see it from a sort of a long-term perspective, and we see beyond that, beyond the initial sort of backlash to what could be. And I think we would recommend that everybody do that as well, to sort of not see the minutia and the sort of immediate sort of response, but sort of project out further to see what it can do from a technological perspective and how it can disrupt the world, which is what Torsten, you've been saying.
Right. It will disrupt the world, but looking into the future is quite difficult because those changes will be exponential, right? They will not be linear. So what we humans tend to do, we look back 10 years and try to predict the next 10 years, right? And this is not going to happen, right? So it's going to be exponential. There is stuff that will happen that we have no idea about yet, right? There's this little startup sitting somewhere in Silicon Valley right now and building that idea that will actually, I mean, change, I mean, the world in a few years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, one of the things that we wanted to do was to sort of hone in on some of the trends that we saw or some of the highlights that we saw from the 2050 video and sort of take it back to, you know, some of the emerging technology to show you that it's not just some imagination that we came up with, but there's actually a link that you can see a red thread between what's happening now and what could be in the future.
And we talked about this one here at the beginning, right after the video. These are the brain ads, right? So the technology is actually here, right? What need to happen is to connect different technologies in order to get to these brain ads. So connecting your brain, your spine to the cloud is of course one requirement in order for the data, for the real-time processing of the data, to capture your emotions, your moods, and actually play back instantly, I mean, images or emotions, right? So, I mean, there needs to be a fast connection. And again, we are not there yet, but we will be there. I mean,
right.
Years.
So it's sort of instantaneous. It's not like planning for the ad, taking a year to create the ad. This is instant, right?
This instant, right? This immersive sensory simulation, right, will happen in your brain the minute you're in a bad mood, right? And you need to change your bad mood, right? And there's this brand who has this solution, right? And they offer you, I mean, like a download, right? And of course, behind all of this, it's a large brand, right? Trying to sell you a service or a product.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I see it is, you know, when we're talking about neuralinked, immersive, customized experiences, which sounds really sci-fi, but as Torsten was saying, there's already sensory simulation technology that already exists. I mean, and what we really need is real-time data processing. And with the supercomputers and quantum computers that are, you know, coming up now, it's going to be much, much easier to process that data. And having that all in one platform, I think helps a lot. And then what Torsten was talking about, you know, brain-computer interface. I mean, that's the way of the future, which means that, you know, a lot of it has to be automated. When we're not going to have manual advertising campaigns being created, but it's going to be a lot of automation done by computing and generative AI and some other technological advancements, right? So yeah,
It's going to be totally dynamic. It's totally dynamic.
Yeah,
Which in
absolutely.
itself is a challenge, but it's quite interesting concept, a quite interesting idea.
Yeah. So for advertising agency people, you know, just think about this model and think what, you know, what sort of services you will need for a Neuralinked customized experience. What about this one, Torsten?
Yeah, so that's quite interesting, right? And if you think about advertising, this hasn't anything to do anymore with advertising as we know it, right? So it's actually, I mean, branding ingestibles, right? Building sensors, I mean, that pretty much monitor your health and enhance the taste of your meals. I mean, this could be, I mean, a concept for this, right? So the sensors will make actually everything more personalized, right? So it's a personalized meal, right? So, I mean, that means based on your mood, based on your situation, I mean, you get the perfect meal created just for you, right? And again, this comes out of the brain out of the information coming from your body that actually end up in those sensors and then transmit the information back to the cloud, back to somewhere where somebody uses that information and creates something, an experience, I mean, just for you. And this can be customized, I mean, diet plans, right? They are just created for you. I mean, even if you went to a restaurant, I mean, you download basically your information from your chip. And we've seen this actually in that video, right? That girl had this chip here. You download this in a restaurant, and all of a sudden you get the perfect meal being prepared just for you in that restaurant. That could be an idea.
I mean, I also like this taste test that you could actually have these sensory taste tests with, you know, new food that you haven't tried before. I mean, that's sort of incredible. I mean, I suppose that means that you're not limited to, you know, a zip code or certain geography. You could actually ask for a meal from Africa, you know, or from Asia or from somewhere in Europe. So I suppose these deliveries are going to be much busier, I suppose. I don't know how you deliver the food, but by that time, they would have probably already thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to exchange information, right? And maybe we have ways, I mean, in different parts of the world then where we create any kind of food based on the information we up and download.
You have this AI-powered culinary science. This is really interesting.
It is. I mean, so based on the information, I mean, you can create a totally new profession out of this. So there would be scientists, I mean, there would be, I mean, chefs, I mean, there would be cooks, and base the combination, I mean, of the art and science of cooking and the information coming from your body, something entirely new can be created here.
Yeah, I see. So almost like a chef, but really customized chef based on your
AI
needs.
chef,
And
yes.
yeah, wow, fantastic. Yeah. So again, we wanted to just highlight some of the technologies here. You have ingestible sensors, which is already here, right? So very much something that is within the realm of reality. Biodegradable electronics, something that is also available, and taste and sensory enhancements. I mean, this is a little bit more in the future, but as you can see, again, a lot of it is about disruptive technology, having data, some sort of data interaction, right? And there's a generative part to, you know, by integrated branding sensors as well, when you think about it, because, you know, the technology isn't passive, but it's all very proactive in digesting, you know, what the data and then taking it to the next level, which is all generative.
Yes.
All right. Tell me a little bit about number 3.
Oh, our favorite topic. Everybody loves shopping, right? So shopping will change, right? So again, I mean, in 2020, 2025, we are still trying to figure out if virtual reality actually works, right? And there's all these shopping ideas in this virtual space. Zuckerberg invested actually a lot of money into his metaverse. And at some point, we had a lot of visions and ideas how this all would play out. The biggest challenge we have to solve, and I feel it will be solved, is the goggles. It's the VR device, right? Because personally, I'm getting a headache when I put this actually on my forehead, right? I can't actually stand it for more like 60 minutes, right? It is difficult. So creating a branded experience with the existing technology, I feel it is something, it's difficult because it's not lasting, it's not long-term. But what will change is that will be solved. It will be solved. I know just this, right? And it will open up a lot of new opportunities for virtual reality, because if it becomes natural to wear those classes, those VR classes, right? we can build virtual reality shopping malls behind all of this. And if you start connecting this now with the data that you have, that you leave in your browsing or your bot history, right? Speaking of bots, if you, download your moods and basically your desires, right? What will happen is, we will be able to create a virtual reality shopping mall where you can purchase any digital product whatsoever in an instant. And you will be only shown those products that you actually desire, right? It's a
Right.
personal shopping mall just for you.
Right. I mean, a couple of years ago, I thought we saw quite a few of these metaverse-like shopping experiences, and they were starting to happen. A little bit clunky, right? You couldn't, it
Yeah.
wasn't really that immersive, but by 2050, I can just imagine all of this being seamless. Like, with every technology, you have to think back to where it began and where it is now and sort of see the evolution. And in the same way, you saw the early nascent experience of what a virtual, shopping mall could look like with those metaverse experiences, and they look pretty cool. It's just, very hard to have a conversation within it because, it just wasn't immersive enough, and you weren't really totally in that virtual space. But I can definitely see the advantages
What
there.
needs to be solved on top of the virtual reality technology is blockchain and secure digital transactions, because you got to pay for all of this somehow. So it's not like you can swipe your credit card, right, or enter it somewhere in those virtual worlds. So it will be connected actually to a digital identity, I guess, right? And whenever you desire or buy a product, right, somebody charges you for tokens or just for your hard-earned cash.
I mean, there's already some attempt to do this, like at Whole Foods and places like that, where you can have a chip and you can actually scan. So I think there will be a solution from a blockchain and smart contracts perspective.
There will be definitely. We
Yeah.
see it in China already. So
Mhm.
China is pretty advanced when it comes to this, where you just need your face or your hand
Right.
in order to conduct transactions, right?
Yeah.
So the technology is already here.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, when we're thinking about virtual marketplaces, and this is where advertisers, usually like to live. Wherever people are shopping, they have eyeballs, and so they want to be able to provide, alternate sort of experiences or ads. Um, Again, it really goes back to disruptive technology, and I suppose we can call advanced VR, virtual reality, advanced disruptive technology, and you'd have personalization engines that's been around for a long time. It's really about data, and how do you make sure that that data can be accessed immediately so that you understand people's personal preferences. And then, as Torsten was saying, blockchain and smart contracts, I mean, that's really the way to go for the future. So as you can see, these are all technologies that already exist, but you can see how you can leap into the future with virtual marketplaces. And again, the ads are going to be so dynamic that it won't be the types of ads we're talking about now. It really has to be automated and using generative AI in some way.
Yeah.
All right. Dynamic, adaptable video content. I feel like we've been talking about this the whole time.
Yes. Yeah. That's interesting. This concept here. Whoever loves movies, whoever wants to be part of a movie, right? So this is, the opportunity now, right? Technology will evolve to a state where, content will be generated in real time. What we see today already is with video AI, that we are able to create like smaller segments of videos already. We have companies like Synthesia right now in the market that start actually playing with video content, like how do you create actually a movie using that technology? You use a prompt, right? And it creates actually a movie for you. So this is the idea behind this. But taking this into context here, what will happen is that there will be one TV series or a movie, and based on the person who watches, it will change entirely. Everybody has their own movie to watch, has a different experience.
Mm.
That's quite interesting. I mean, from a tech point of view, right?
Oh,
Because I mean, the super fast uploads into the cloud, right? It needs to be like an on-time online video generation tool, right?
wow.
And it's like instant, right? There's
Mm.
no waiting while the movie actually runs, and while my mood may change during watching the movie, the scene changes, right? The storyline changes.
So are we saying that there'll no longer be any more Hollywood actors and actresses?
That's a very good question. It's a very good question, right? I mean, their job is at risk. Yes, I mean, it comes down to us consumers in the end of the
Mm.
day, right? Well, we
Yeah, sure.
prefer, but having such an experience is probably on a different level. I mean, an actor cannot actually deliver this experience over to, I mean, to any viewer or any, I mean, video watcher.
Mm.
But I see a lot of opportunities here. I mean, for advertisers, I mean,
Mm.
targeting inside of these movies really based on moods and emotions and kind of movies, and
Mm.
everything happens like on the fly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It seems like, the companies that will really be able to leverage this new technologies are probably gaming companies that are already doing a lot of this, and adaptable storytelling and digital animation creation. And a lot of them are already using um, the um, not the large language models, but the GAN and diffusion model technology is part of generative AI. So I can just see, them really making inroads into dynamic, adaptable video content.
Because they're doing this already, right? So
Yeah,
you have, I mean, a player, a gamer actually interacting with a game already. So here
yeah.
is the interaction. You take this now into a TV environment and have
Mm,
actually now somebody watching, I mean, a movie interacting with the content. So
yeah,
it's a type of gaming.
yeah,
It's, I mean, it's
absolutely.
made it over to TV and yeah.
Yeah. This one, is more sort of grounded in reality. We can actually see this happening much closer to the 2020s than 2050s, just because we already have AI-powered content generation. As Torsten said, he talked about Synthesia, there's Runway and other tools out there that it's already creating AI-powered content that's really cool. And then learning algorithms are really part of the platform, and that's the algorithm is the one that's continually learning and creating and adapting content, and then having interactive media platforms. So again, we talked about gaming industries really leveraging this. It'll be great to see if some, advertising agencies that are currently service agencies turning into an interactive media platform as well. I mean, that will really be the sort of interesting, disruptive thing that an advertising agency can do. Yeah. Okay. I love this.
We've seen it in a movie, right? So
Yeah.
it was the sentient robot that walks in the middle of the road with the poor, ugly looking bots around, right? So it's a very interesting concept. I feel like today we are talking about bots in general, right? Like digital bots. So if you take this now a step further, right? And OpenAI is actually experimenting with this already. So they will actually merge ChatGPT technology, put it into a bot, right? And now that bot starts interacting with us. But again, not just with us, he starts interacting for us, right? So he takes over a lot of our churns by talking to advertisers, talking to some customer service folks. So he actually will relieve us on some of the stress that we have these days when dealing with people around us.
Great. Yeah. Would love that, right? It's already
Yeah, who doesn't?
such an interactive and such a busy world now, especially with so much content coming out. Yeah. So AGI, advanced robotics, human robot interactions. Again, this doesn't seem like something out of, sci-fi at all. Just
No,
because we've been seeing it on, films, but also, certain countries are far more advanced when it comes to robotics than others. And we see that in terms of Japan and France and certain other countries that are really way ahead. And there they're, far more comfortable with the idea of having a robot as your assistant or as your friend. So,
a friend
yes, exactly.
or caretaker, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, all right. So I love this one, nanobots.
Yeah, well, yeah, we talked about this, I mean, earlier, right? So the
Mhm.
nanobots as your health advocates. So we do have the technology already. So pretty much what you were saying earlier, it's like proactive, preventive medicine, right? So you don't need to see a doctor anymore. You actually get a nanobot. They are being injected into your bloodstream and eliminate actually diseases instantly.
Mm.
I mean, and I mean, the long-term impact of this is of course positive. I mean, people will live longer, right? There won't be any more, I mean, bad diseases, right? So you lead a much more active and a much more healthy life in the
Mm,
end.
absolutely. I mean,
Um,
some of the
what we
big,
need to do,
some of the big diseases that we're sort of tackling right now, cancer,
answer is the big
yeah,
elephant in the room,
yeah,
yeah.
and Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and there's several others, and even chronic diseases. Maybe we won't have diabetes anymore. I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's generally considered a lifestyle disease, but maybe
Yeah.
there's a way of
It will
maintaining.
be cured. It will be cured. I'm sure about this. It's a
Mm,
matter of time.
yeah,
Yeah.
imagine. Maybe we could become immortal. Okay, we're going a little bit too far here. That's real sci-fi. But as you can see, nanobots, biosensors, again, there's a platform play here, right? Platform is where you're gathering all the data, and whoever owns that data really has that rich insights and be able to understand what's happening. And having that data really, really is critical, as well as the disruptive technology. I suppose the big question for me is, would we be okay with having a nanobot, in our bloodstream all the time, like 365 days of the year? Uh,
That's a very good question, which
yeah,
we don't know.
yeah, because most of the nanobots at the moment seems to be very much focused on a certain task, and they go in and go out. But
Correct.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe
So
we're,
that would be a nanobot that would be present 24/7, right?
yeah,
And it would, I mean, check your body day and night, right? And it's
yeah,
a little bit scary, right? Because it's still a bot.
yeah, absolutely. All right. So what, we showed you the video. We talked about some of the highlights, the technologies that we talked about, and why are we saying all of this? So, you know, for us, we're seeing the future as three things. As we've said before, with all of the highlighted technologies and the ways that we'll be interacting with technology. We've talked about generative AI, that it is a disruptive technology. It's changing the way we interact with computers. But that sort of generative AI technology will be omnipresent in a lot of what we're going to be facing in the future. And then this real-time data, it's just going to get faster, and there's going to be more of it. And you need that in order to have your services, maintain a service, be sort of competitive in the future. And that together with disruptive technologies, whether it be generative AI or something else, is what we define as the creative economy. We talked about in the past about the creative economy being about, the big idea. But for us, the big idea now is really about that disruptive technology. How can you create new technologies that interact with us in different ways and opens up a new opportunity? Just like what Torsten's been saying, with each really disruptive technology, it takes us into a whole new space that we've never even considered before, and huge economies start building around it. And for us, it's really these experiences from the creative economy, the disruptive technology, which is going to be the new creativity. So the new creativity is going to look very, very different from, what advertising agency people think of creative, as in brand campaigns and whatnot. And that's not what we see as the creative economy at all. So, we started off with a title, the future agency model. So here's our answer. We see the future agencies are really becoming in-house communications groups. There may still be some external agencies that are really great at campaign building, but we see more of the integration into platforms. And so where you already have, platforms, I mean, I'll name a few like Google's or Google's of the world, or Meta or whatever. They're really in a really great place, right? And they're already started hiring a lot of creative teams, and you can see them being the content creators in the future and relying less and less on advertising agencies. And it's already happening. And the creative team or the future agency team members will probably consist of data scientists, software engineers, prompt engineers, and content creators. And I sort of created this sort of nebulous term, content creators. It could be copywriters, it could be, graphic artists, it could be editors. We don't know, because, by this time, AI is going to be doing a lot of things. So maybe that content creator is more like an editor, somebody who's reviewing, the output of the content more. But maybe there'll be some people who are creating original content. But I'd like to keep it open in terms of what a content creator looks like. I mean, it could be somebody completely different. It could actually even be a computer scientist in, 25 years.
And all of these functions could be AI agents. They could all be, I mean, digital personas. They don't need to be humans, right?
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, yeah. So, and then GenAI generated content will be created using insights, right? So as was, in all of the slides that we just shared with you, in every single one of them, there's data. And that data is going to provide you with the key insights that allow you to create the campaigns and needs and gaps. And so that data is worth a lot. So don't want to break the bad news here, but as you can see, the future agency model looks very, very different from the advertising agencies that we're looking at. Probably digital agencies are the ones closest to this agency model. And then, I think Torsten, you talked about SEO agencies.
SEO, I mean, all the digital media agencies, they're very close to this.
Yeah, yeah. So here we are. In terms of GenAI and the future agency model. So what do we need to do? So it all seems like sci-fi, and you might say, well, we're very, very far away from that model that you're talking about. So what do we do? How do we get there? So it might be a good idea from a mindset perspective to get out of the billable professional services model. As long as you keep that sort of mindset, it's, you'll want to keep on billing your time and, providing a service. Whereas, if you think about a technology platform, they're really less reliant on people, more focused on automation, more focused on subscription models. And so, it totally untethers you from this idea that you have to sell your time. It's more about selling subscriptions or selling a platform, selling, services within that platform that's automated. And then, I mean, this is a no-brainer, but creativity must expand beyond copy and art. I mean, it is not about copy and art anymore in our minds. It's really about the technology. And so, in our minds, the big idea means disruptive technology. And in the end, in order to succeed in this new paradigm, you have to own the media, meaning you have to own the platform, you have to own the eyeballs and the experience. And with all of the examples we showed you, all of them try and own something, right? Whether it be a sensory experience or sense some sort of a mind reading or nanobot or whatever it is. There's some sort of platform underneath it, and there's a platform play, and there's data being gathered. You know? So it's it's never too early to start. So if you're thinking about changing and shifting your agency model, it's never too early to start, and it's never too late to start. Okay, just because your model doesn't replicate or look anything like what we showed you, it's not too late. And the best way to start really is to start with a simple, repetitive task, because automation, you can't go from 0 to 100. Very few people can, but you can go from 0 to what's a simple repetitive task that brings in automation into your company. And then that frees you up to start thinking about how you bring automation into other parts of the company. But start thinking of small things that you can pilot, and you can go.
Simple tasks, very simple tasks first, right?
Yeah.
Just in order to get a proof of concept.
Yeah. And I think the thing that, you have to sort of disassociate yourself with is that, you have to manually do things. We're at an age, we're in the industrial 4.0 age, which means that automation should be everywhere. And so if there's manual tasks that you're doing right now that doesn't have to be done by you, you should automate it to free your time and really open it up to your team to explore innovations and think about different ways in which you can, spend your time and innovate and think about new products and services. Yeah. And, just be aware that the future never happens in a vacuum. And, when you think about the sci-fi and, movies that you've seen or books that you've read, and then suddenly something pops up that seems like, and you go, well, I read about it. Of course, because the future is the product of our imagination. Like, humans imagine things, and then, that sort of is lasting. And you can see a scientist, a budding scientist watching a movie and thinking, wow, I wish I could do this at some point. And then they start creating solutions and engineering sort of prototypes based on those imaginations. So just keep in the back of your mind the idea that we shape the future. And to that point, it took us 30 years to get to where we are with the World Wide Web. Just think about the original experience of World Wide Web and where we are now. And so everything takes time, right? And it takes a long time for things to advance. And computing, think about computing in the 1970s and now. Think about what computers mean for you now versus what it was in the 1970s. I mean, it took a lot of iterations, lots of experiments, and a lot of really imaginative people to break through to the next level. And as Torsten mentioned, we're only 2 years into the GenAI revolution. And if you think about it within the perspective of what we shared with you about the World Wide Web or computing, imagine what the GenAI revolution can bring to you in the next 25, 30 years. And that's exactly what we're saying. Don't let some of the criticism of GenAI or some of the bashing that's going on sort of hinder you. Think about the future and think about where it can take you, and let your imagination sort of flourish here in terms of how this disruptive technology can turn your business into something different. So our question for you is, where do you want to be in the GenAI revolution? The disrupted or the disruptor? You know where we stand, right? So reach out to us if you'd like to be a disruptor, and let's start a conversation. So for those of you who want to disrupt, reach out to us. And we hope you enjoyed this LinkedIn Live, which was recorded, so it's not live, but
Yeah.
but we do have other LinkedIn Lives scheduled. So please keep an eye on our 3Cubed AI LinkedIn page for more information. If you have any questions, if you liked this video, reach out to us and tell us what you think. Whether you didn't like it, whether you liked it, any sort of reaction is worth getting. All right, then. Thank you
Perfect.
so much.
So much.
All right, then. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.